Hi, welcome to This Expat Life. My name is Amanda Maxime, and as a certified coach, I help high-achieving expats find more fulfillment and happiness in their global lives. Because while life abroad is often amazing, it is not only rainbows and butterflies, as all experienced expats know. In This Expat Life, I open up space for all facets of life abroad and what you can do to thrive in it. And to support you in your personal, professional, and geographic life transitions, I share tips, tell relatable stories, and connect with fellow expats. Whether you've just moved abroad or you are a seasoned expat, This Expat Life is your place to find real understanding and to grow from the inside out. Enjoy the show. Hey everyone, nice that you are listening to another episode of This Expat Life. Today I want to talk about a topic that is apparently very present for you guys because I just ran a survey to hear more about what's going on for you, what you're struggling with, what you wish for yourself. And in a few answers, I saw the same thing coming back, and that had to do with balancing the shoulds and the wants, maintaining a busy life, making space for family and hobbies. So I thought, hey, this is going on for you. Let me create an episode around this. And so some of the things I got were how to better manage my energy between all the shoulds, like work, admin, household, etc., and the wants, like socializing and enjoying what the city has to offer in terms of art, culture, and stuff like that. Someone else also asked me, what is your most valuable advice to balance your job with family life? Because being here was already because of my job. This person is an expat and the family moved for this person's job. And then someone else also asked me if I had any tips and tricks from my diplomatic experience on how to survive very busy schedules with social appointments. So the theme that I'm spotting here is that all of them have a very full life, which I can relate to a lot. And they want to balance it more with things that are important to them, whether that's family life or arts, or maybe some longer term projects or hobbies that they have. And I do have some experience with this because I was a diplomat for 7 years and I lived in Brazil for 3 years as a diplomat. And my life there, I love my life there. Diplomatic life is very fun. But it was very busy. I was traveling all the time. Every 2 to 3 weeks on average, I was on a plane. I also had friends in Brasilia that I wanted to hang out with. I still had a relationship with someone in the Netherlands, so I was doing the long distance thing, which also meant flying back and forth and maintaining that relationship. Whenever I was in the Netherlands, I also wanted to visit my friends and family here because it's really important for me to maintain my relationships. And of course, I had a busy, demanding job and I wanted to excel at that job too. And besides that, obviously, I also have my hobbies and the things that were important to me. I ran a marathon when I lived in Brasilia, and I also already knew I wanted to become an entrepreneur after I would move back to the Netherlands. And so I was already trying to experiment with little side hustles and just developing myself more into this entrepreneur. So my life was busy and it still is, although a lot has changed. And right now I live in the Netherlands with my 2 cats. I'm a coach and entrepreneur. I have a lot of one-on-one clients. I have a group program that is starting soon again. I have no one really on my team. It's just me. I create a lot of content here for free on the podcast, also on my social media. I'm really building a business, not just trading my hours for money. I'm continuously developing myself. I'm learning new things as a coach and also as an entrepreneur. I go to business events for the business program in the US that I signed up for. And I have my personal life. I want to run a marathon again. I have my hobbies, the things I want to learn more about. And I also travel a lot, like really a lot. Last year was insane. So I still have to balance a lot in my life. And over the years, I've really learned a thing or two, or actually 10 to be precise, that have really helped me that I now want to share with you, hoping that it will help you too going forward. Because I know as an expat, your life is very full. Just like me, probably you have a demanding career, you have 2 social circles to maintain or even more. The circle from back home, your inner circle, but also the circle in the host country and perhaps other countries you lived in before. Maybe you have a family you want to take care of, or at least spend a lot of quality time with. I don't have that, so that saves some time for me. You've got your hobbies, you want to develop yourself. You might also travel a lot for your job. And maybe you also need to learn a language. I didn't even think about that, but in Brazil, I also had to learn Portuguese, of course, which took some time. And just really getting settled into a country, even if you've been there for a couple of years, it still takes your energy because you're not from there. So you always need to learn, how is this being done here? So as an expat, your life can be really full, and it's so important to keep that space so you can balance what is really important for you and what you really need to do. So let's just dive into it. I identified 10 tips that can help you to balance the shoulds and the wants a little bit more, or to create those pockets of time for the things you find important in a really busy schedule. And maybe these 10 tips are not all relevant to you. Maybe you can use 3 or 4, or maybe all 10 of them are great for you. But in any case, I would love to hear after this episode if you're going to use anything. So the first one, I think, is the key one, and I've mentioned this before, and that is to prioritize. To prioritize what you find really important, what you want to have in your life, and to also accept that some things may need to give. I've spoken about it in the previous episodes around the new year, the importance of prioritizing and how I do that myself. So every year, but actually more often than once a year, I just go back to, hey, what is really important for me this quarter or this month or this year? And out of everything that I want to have, achieve, or do, or be, or experience, I choose 2 or 3 main areas, main themes, main topics that I then prioritize. Because you can have anything but not everything at the same time, and some things gotta give. But if you have very clear what you want to focus on for the coming time, this really helps you to also get it done, to get it into your life. So if right now you have a very busy schedule and you're just running around all the time, or you are focusing only on the shoulds and not on the wants, start with identifying what 2 or 3 main areas of your life are really most important to you now. And these do not necessarily have to be all the wants, that things you want to have more of in your life, but it can also include the shoulds. As an example, right now, one of my priorities is my health. I'm struggling with a histamine intolerance, and I'm on this incredibly strict diet. I'm almost not allowed to have anything really, and it sucks. I really do not enjoy it at all. But I am prioritizing this because I really want to get healthy again. This is not necessarily a want for me, like health and fitness is important to me, but ideally I would have it as like a, ongoing thing that is always present for me, that I don't need to prioritize because it's already so locked into my life. But my body told me I needed to do something else. And so I'm really prioritizing my health this month, these couple of months, because I need to do it. If I want to continue being the successful, energetic coach and entrepreneur that I am, I need to focus on my health right now. So this is not necessarily a want for me, because I'd much rather spend my time on doing fun things than on finding out what I can eat. It's a need for me. And so it's included in my priorities. And maybe one of the things that you really need to prioritize is your career or your job, because it's really stressful right now. But these priorities also shouldn't be all needs either. Like, you want to include something that you really want in your life. However, sometimes we are in a phase of our lives where it's just not possible. Maybe you have 2 or 3 young kids, you have a demanding career, and you're moving abroad, and you have health issues too. Then maybe for you this phase is more about surviving rather than thriving. And your priorities can reflect that. But it's just key to zoom out and determine beforehand what your priorities are. Because if you know what your priorities are, you can also start reflecting that in your daily life and your daily choices. And by the way, if you find it hard to set priorities, you can download my free tool, the Wheel of Expat Life, where I really help you visualize how the current state of your life currently looks and what priorities you need to set and how you can achieve those priorities as well. So go to the link in the show notes if you want to download that free tool. And then my second tip is a bit related to this, because maybe you were just thinking, okay, I want to set my priorities, but I don't know what to prioritize. Maybe there's too much going on, or maybe you just don't know what you want. There are a lot of people that only know their shoulds and they don't really know what they want in life. So my second tip is to really know what you really want. Know what is really important to you. The reason why I've been able to relentlessly go after my dreams year after year, despite all the setbacks I've had in the last couple of years, like with my parents dying in just 2 years' time, is because I had such a strong vision that was so compelling, is so compelling. It makes me jump out of bed almost every morning because I want to work on it. I have so clear where I want to go to, what I want to call into my life. And this really unlocks such great energy for me to include all those wants in my life. So when I was that busy diplomat in Brazil, I woke up very often at 5:30, 6 a.m. to spend half an hour or an hour on my side hustle, on the thing that I was dreaming about, because I knew so clearly where I wanted to go to, and that got me out of bed in the morning, and I easily made time for it. And I still do that. Now, I don't need to wake up that early anymore because, my 9 to 5 is now my dream. But there's still things that I want to work towards. And because I have it so clear, it gives me that motivation, that discipline, and that energy to go after it. And it also helps me to create space for it. So know what you really want. And you know what is key here in knowing what you really want is to have time alone and for yourself. I'm a firm believer that you can't be successful without taking time for yourself. So many expats and global players that I coach, they are just so busy. Their lives are so full. And this is probably also one of the reasons why you're listening to this episode. Their lives are so full and they only need to respond to everything that's going on outside of them. And there is very little alone time to be quiet, to go inwards, to listen to their intuition, to what their inner voice is telling them. And I notice this myself too. Sometimes I have periods where I'm just nonstop with people. I am busy all the time. I'm traveling all the time. And especially when I am with other people, I notice this. And then I just, I'm very much in the moment with them and I'm enjoying it very much and whatever I'm doing. But there's very little time left for me to connect to myself, to reflect on what's going on around me and in me, to just think a little bit more, to feel more. And I really need those pockets of time by myself to reflect and to go inwards. And having more and more of these moments is what also enables you to find more clarity on what it is you really want. So just this morning, actually yesterday evening, I had my birthday party. And then this morning, I really felt the urge to go to a coffee place and to sit down there with my journal and just write a little bit. And it was really early. It was like 9 a.m. and there was almost no one there. And it was just me writing. And I enjoyed it so much because I was writing down things about my future self and just journaling on some things that were present for me. And that immediately took me out of the daily grind, the daily hectic life. It enabled me to zoom out and to remember where I am going and to see if I'm still on the path towards it. So having time for yourself is so key if you want to see a difference in the outer circumstances in your life. I really would not be where I am today without having so much time by myself. For me, I really need it to be able to hear that voice that is always guiding me where I want to go next. I have no problem making big decisions because my intuition is pretty strongly developed. But having time for myself was a prerequisite for that. So that was just a little side note. Let me move on to the third tip, which is also related to your priorities and knowing what you really want. And that is to be able to say no. I think a lot of us have difficulty saying no. We have a demanding manager or CEO that wants a lot from us, or there's just a lot of stress and deadlines going on, and it's hard to say no to that. Or maybe you're a bit of a people pleaser in another way, and you just find it really hard to take time for yourself, in the context of your family or friends. But setting your priorities and really materializing the vision that you have in your mind starts with saying no, because we can't do it all. You need to have your priorities straight. And like I said, something's got to give, but you won't be able to really do that until you say no. So right now, I'm saying a lot of no to social events this month because I'm on this diet. And I really want to stick to it. And I know that if I go out to a restaurant, I'll be tempted to eat an ingredient that I'm not allowed to have. So I'm just saying no to all those things. I'm also launching the Co-Pilot, my group program, next month again in February. And I know that the coming weeks are going to be really busy. I'll also be traveling. So I just know, okay, my focus is on my business in the next couple of weeks. So that unfortunately means I have to say no to a few other things, like too many social events or even business opportunities that are not directly useful for me in the short or long term. For the person who asked me if I had any tips or tricks from my diplomatic experience on how to survive these very busy schedules with social appointments, I think you also need to start saying no to a few things. So what makes it so busy? And are you just automatically saying yes to everything because it has always been that way? Or do you just enjoy it all? Like if you enjoy it all and you have energy to do it, great. You don't need to change anything. But the person who's asking me this is asking this with a reason. So if you have such a busy schedule, what can you say no to that is not directly one of your priorities? And this part of saying no is often the hardest for so many people because we don't like to disappoint other people or to not meet certain expectations. So it's hard. But I think it's really key if you want to balance the shoulds and the wants more in your life. So do all the shoulds need to be in your life, or can you say no to a few of them? Another example, I often in the past few years had someone to help me out with cleaning in the house because I hate doing it and I'm also not good at it. And I was happy to spend some money on it because I thought I can do much better things with the time that I then free up. And also my mood just improves if I don't need to do it. But I also have friends who complained a little bit about all the household work that they had to do, but then they didn't want to hire someone to help them out because they didn't grow up with it and it was almost like not done for them. So there are often a lot of shoulds that we are just almost mindlessly accepting because it's always been that way, or we have a strong judgment on it if we weren't to do them. But become more self-aware of what is really important to you and what you can say no to. And you say no to the things that you don't enjoy. That's the first thing, or that are not benefiting you. But become aware of where there might still be some extra room for you to say no, even if a part of you is holding judgment over it. All right, tip number 4. Once you have those pockets of time for yourself, the tip is to reflect and plan. So you've heard me talk about reflecting and planning and dreaming quite a lot, I think. As I mentioned, this is a key element in my life, and without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. I take a lot of time for myself, and what I do then is to reflect and plan, and also dream. But the tip here is to really reflect and plan. So if you know what your priorities are, or you know what you want to have more of in your life, look back and see where you weren't able to keep that up. So if one of my priorities is health, in the last couple of months, I clearly saw that I wasn't able to maintain my fitness regime. I spoke about it in the episode with Amy Wiley as well. And reflecting on it, I could see, it was because I still prioritized my work over my health. And because I felt too busy to work out. And also I got into this lazy habit a little bit. So it was harder for me to go out 4 times a week and exercise. But by reflecting, I can really see why it wasn't working for me. So if you want to prioritize your family life more, look back and see how and where you haven't been able to do that as much as you wanted and what are the root causes for that. Because once you know why it wasn't working out for you in the first place, you can then also plan better. And with planning, I mean, 1, anticipating what is coming and how that's going to impact your priorities. And 2, actively scheduling things that reflect those priorities. So if we use the topic of health, what you can do obviously is on Sunday evening, look to your schedule for the coming week, see what work is going to ask from you when you have time, and then schedule in exercise already. Sign up for classes, meet up with a friend to go for a run, etc. And the same with family life. If you want to prioritize that more, schedule it in. If you have set your priorities, perhaps also with your spouse, so you also have priorities for your family life together, you can also think about, okay, how do these priorities look in daily life? So maybe it means going out for an ice cream with the kids on a Friday evening, or maybe it's about playing board games or just simply being more at home. But you can schedule those things already into your calendar. Now, I'm not really someone who sticks to her calendar, so I've often tried to batch certain tasks and to put them in my calendar already. Most of the time this doesn't work, but actually right now, I have a dream of moving to the US, and I have put a weekly recurring time in my schedule on Friday afternoon to work on my immigration. And that has been working for me because I know this is such a long-term project that if I don't schedule in time to do it, it will not take off. So it really requires a lot of dedication and discipline from me to make it work. So I've put that into my calendar, and right now I'm able to stick to it. So know yourself and see how you can reflect and plan for yourself as well. The fifth tip is to become aware of what you're spending your time on. Now, I don't need to tell you that so many of us lose time over scrolling on social media, myself included. And I know I can save so much more time if I just put my phone away. So what I've been experimenting with is actually switching off my phone completely during pockets of time on the weekdays to be able to focus more. I used to put my phone away, but it didn't really do the trick. So now I just switch it off, and that's helping. So if you feel that your life is full of shoulds, or that your job takes so much of you that there's no time left for anything else that you want to do, take a couple of days that you really write down what you are spending your time on per hour or half an hour. I actually did that for a couple of days, and it really helped me to see, oh shit, I'm losing so much time over things that really do not matter for my work, or that I sometimes don't even really enjoy doing, it's just a habit, or that are not good for me. And we often underestimate how much time we spend on those things. So writing down what you do throughout the day actually helps you to realize where your time is going. And if you know where it's going and it's not reflecting your priorities, well, then you've just created extra hours of time to do the things that are really important for you. Okay, and then the sixth tip, this is actually one of my favorites, I spoke about this before, is to have daily or weekly or monthly routines that really reflect your priorities and that also give you that space to zoom out and reflect and plan. I think it's really key to have that in your routines as well. If you have a daily or weekly whatever routine to fall back on, it helps you to get into that habit of doing the things that are important to you. So in previous episodes, I mentioned my weekly CEO check-in moment that I have with myself every Monday morning. And this really helps me to set my priorities for the coming week as an entrepreneur, but also as a person, even when I am traveling or there's a lot going on. So it doesn't matter if I'm in Arizona or the Netherlands or where else have I been the last couple of months. Every Monday morning, I was doing the same thing. And it didn't matter how much there was going on for me. I had my little half an hour a week to hold on to have some grip and to find that clarity again. And this is a great weekly routine that I will keep forever, I think. I started doing this already when I was a diplomat, but back then it was a monthly check-in. So this is also great if you're not an entrepreneur. Other daily routines or habits could look like reading 10 pages in a book every morning or every evening. Just yesterday, I was talking to a friend about reading. A lot of us wanted to read more. And she shared that for a while, every morning, right upon waking up, she would not grab her phone, but she would be reading in a book for, I think, 10 pages or 10 minutes. I can't remember. And this is such a great habit because I also want to read more. And I have been able to read more in the last year. But I still find it hard to read more at home, especially when I'm busy. But if you are creating a habit or a routine that is so tied to a certain schedule or environment or other kind of action, this helps you to include the new thing as well. So if you want to enjoy the city where you're living more, the person who was asking this question actually lives in New York City. I know this. I mean, New York has so much to offer. And if you spend so much of your time on the shoulds in your life and you're not enjoying the city that much, can you start creating a new habit or a routine of going to something cultural every 2 weeks? No matter what's going on for you, there's this thing in your calendar already planned, as in a previous tip I mentioned, and you just go there. In a previous episode, I also mentioned that after returning home from Rio, for a while I was doing either something new, something social, or something active every single day. And I kept that going for a long time. It was so easy for me. I just went off my checklist. Did I do either of those 3 things today? And if I didn't, I would just do it. So if you have something that becomes such a habit or a routine, it becomes so much easier to have all those wants in your daily life. And sometimes life is just too full or too busy. So here's the next tip for that, and that is to get creative. If you want to have more family time or more art time or more side hustle time or more exercise in your life, and you have really almost no time left to add that, get creative and see where you can combine a few things. So recently, a friend and I, we wanted to have some quality time together, and we combined it with a visit to a museum. I've done that before with co-working, with exercising. Maybe you have a project or a hobby that you want to work on, or a side hustle you want to get started. And perhaps you can actually do that with a friend of yours. So you can combine social time with the thing that you want to have in your life. I also like to combine my trips with work because I was traveling so much last year. And obviously I also need to work and meet my clients and do everything else. So I always combine my trips with visiting friends and then also working a little bit there. And this, well, I wouldn't really call it creativity. It's not that creative, but this combining of certain things really allowed me to have it all last year. And then tip number 8, actually, this is my favorite. That is to operate from the future you. So as an example, after this podcast, I'm going for a run. Do I feel like a run? No, it's very cold. It's like 0 degrees here right now. There's a lot of fog. I'm a little bit tired. I just don't feel like exercising today. So if I'm operating from the here and now, I would need a lot of willpower to do this run. And I know I will do it because I'm disciplined enough. But if I think about who I am becoming, the person that I want to be in the future, the successful entrepreneur, the coach who's helping so many people and creating such a big impact, the person who's there for her friends, has a lot of energy to travel, that person is fit and healthy to maintain all of those things in her life. And that run will be a natural thing for her to do. And so when I think about the future me, I immediately feel this energy of like, of course I'm going for a run after this podcast because it's so normal to me. It's what I need in my life and I enjoy it. And my whole energy changes. And so I don't need more willpower to do it. It's just like a natural motivation for me to go. So if you want to prioritize your family more, start being the family man that you want to be. Start embodying this energy already and just think about what would the future me do in this case right now. This is such a powerful tool and it has really enabled my growth. And this is also one of the reasons why I dedicated a whole session to the future you thing in the Copilot. So start being the person that you want to be. However, sometimes that may still not be enough. And so my 9th tip is to put a deadline to it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm incredibly sensitive to deadlines. I need deadlines to keep me going or to get started even. If I don't have a deadline, I just don't do it unless the vision is strong enough, but even then. So as an example, I was thinking about creating this podcast already for 6 months or so, and I knew it would be a good thing for my business and also for me as a person to learn how to take up more space and to feel confident in it. I knew it was going to be a good thing for me. Yet I didn't start. For 6 months, I was thinking about the idea and I was leaving it to one day soon when I have more time. That one day never came, of course, until I saw someone I really look up to asking for a podcast that she could be a guest on. And this immediately propelled me into action, and I pitched my idea and I told her I haven't even started. And thankfully she said yes. And that really got me going, because then I realized, oh no, I have the interview in 3.5 weeks and I don't even have a podcast. I have no interview experience. So I got started right away. I hired some help. I asked other people to come onto the show, and I recorded 2 solo episodes. So I already would have something when she came on it. And having a deadline that is coming closer and closer is always what gets me going and to really finish something. So just a couple of weeks ago, when it was mid-December, I really felt like, oh, I actually had some goals for this year and I haven't fully achieved all of them. So let's see if I can add a little boost to it and make it happen. When I moved to Rio last year, this finally propelled me into action to really sort out some stuff that was really still in my house. Lots of stuff that I needed to declutter and donate or throw away. Things that I kept postponing until someone came into my house to take care of the cats. And I thought, oh yeah, but she needs space. So I finally did the things that I was avoiding for 2 years. The marathon as well. I always thought, oh, I would like to do a marathon one day, but I'm not good enough, la la la. And then I just signed up through a group program of something. And boom, there was a deadline and I had to perform. I had to do it. So I started training. I got into action. So if you really want something in your life, tie a deadline to it. If it's a side hustle or like a concrete project, it's easier to put a deadline to it. If it's more about like this daily balance that you're after, it can become a little bit harder. But even there, you can put some deadlines. So maybe you can say, this year, I want to have 12 special days away with my family, or solo time with one of my kids. Or this quarter, I want to visit 5 different museums. This is still possible. So make it concrete, add some numbers to it, but at least a date, and just have a real deadline. And share that deadline with others so you're being held accountable. Okay, and then my last tip, and I'm so sorry, you guys, because I always try to keep it short, but it never just really works for me. The last tip is also really to understand what beliefs and patterns may still be holding you back. Because maybe you're the person who finds it hard to prioritize their family life because you feel like you have to achieve or you can't say no at work. Maybe you're always the one working overtime because there's simply something else to do, or people are counting on you, or you find it hard to not meet expectations. Or you have this huge responsibility and you feel like if you don't do it, no one will do it. Well, let me tell you, if you haven't been able to prioritize your family or the things you find important for longer than one short period, 95% chance that there are beliefs that are holding you back. Because this is a repeating pattern, and maybe the pattern has repeated itself already in different environments, different locations, different contexts. And maybe the way it shows up is a little bit different every single time, but the core is still the same. You might not be prioritizing your personal life. If that is the case, you really want to assess what is holding you back, what beliefs you have about yourself, about others, and about the world, what thoughts that you are thinking. Because I've coached so many people who just find it so hard to switch off from work because they have a deeper belief that they alone are responsible. Because somewhere in their childhood, they learned to be responsible for everything that was going on around them because their parents perhaps couldn't fully be present for them. So now in their work, they're showing the same behavior. Perhaps you're someone who's very good at spotting what isn't working yet and the things that need to be improved by you or by the team. Maybe you spot all the gaps and you just feel like, oh no, this needs to be fixed because otherwise things are going to fail. I had a coachee who found it so hard to relax at home. Every weekend, she just felt the urge to be busy. And she enjoyed herself going to galleries and stuff like that. But to really sit down and not do anything for 2 hours was so incredibly hard for her. Because since she was young, she learned that she needed to be busy and fix things around her. So to take time out, just relax and not do anything productive or responsible at all was a foreign concept for her. So this is why it's so important to not only look on the outside of your life, but to really go inwards as well and be honest with yourself. Hey, what is something that I am subconsciously believing? The person who was talking about balancing all the shoulds and the wants, if you're not putting in enough wants, I'm not saying this is the case for you, but if you're not including the things that you desire in your life, the question I have for you is, what makes you not allowing yourself to experience all those wants in your life? Where in life did you learn that you have to focus on all the shoulds first, and only if there's time left, maybe you can have one want? I can tell you it's possible to have the shoulds and the wants, but you need to overcome those inner blockages first. Once you can identify what is really holding you back, you can generate lasting changes, because it's not about fixing something on the outside. You're changing something from the inside, and you'll bring that wherever you will go in the future. And if you want to work on that deeper level, let's work together, because this is really what I focus on. And there are two options available. One is through one-on-one coaching in the coaching journey. That is 4 months of us working together closely and really going on a deep dive. And this package is right now €1,497, but the price will go up. And the other option is through the Copilot. And this is a more do-it-yourself approach. It is a group program consisting of 8 sessions, live sessions online. So it's not a course or anything. In the Copilot, I will give you the self-coaching tools that you can use to generate different outcomes in your life. These are tools that have been the most popular with my one-on-one coaches, and I'm now making them available to bigger groups. And the Copilot is starting again on the 19th of February, and I would love to welcome you there. All right, these were my 10 tips to balance the shoulds and the wants more, to have more time in your busy schedule for the things that are really important to you. And I would love to hear from you what tip you found most relevant and which ones you're going to start using. Have a good day wherever you are, and talk to you soon again.